Guess I sort of, most of my life, have seen the glass half full rather than half empty. And I've been so blessed. I mean, think about it. I'm the lucky girl that was asked to do all these wonderful things.
For decades, Julie Andrews lived a life that seemed straight out of a fairy tale. She was the golden girl who could do no wrong, filling screens and hearts with a kind of magic most stars only dream of. But now, at 89, things have shifted. The spotlight has dimmed, and the years have brought whispers of questions we've all wondered about, but never quite dared to ask. Join us as we dive into the story of Julie Andrews, where at long last, she's finally confirming what we've all suspected. What secret has she been hiding all these years? The voice that carried her. Julie Andrews always seemed like she belonged to a different time when the world felt softer, simpler, and maybe a little more hopeful. Her voice, so pure and bright, could lift and carry you somewhere else entirely. It wasn't just singing, it was like she was painting pictures with sound. Think about the sound of music, those hills alive with her melody, or Mary Poppins, where every note felt like a spoonful of sugar. For years, she was the woman who made us believe in magic, the kind of star who didn't just perform, but became a part of us. But now, at 89, that fairy tale glow has softened into something else. Life doesn't stay the same forever. And for Julie, the years have brought changes that hit deeper than anyone expected. Her story isn't just about the songs anymore. It's about what happens when the music stops and the silence starts to speak. What heartbreaking truth has she kept hidden until now? Watch on to find out. Back in the beginning, Julie was a kid with a gift. Born in 1935 in England, she didn't come from some fancy family or a big city. Her parents were ordinary folks, but her voice, that was anything but ordinary. By the time she was 10, she was already singing on stages, her voice soaring in ways that made grown-ups stop and listen. It was strong, clear, almost you, like something you'd hear from an angel, not a little girl. People started calling her a prodigy, and soon she was performing on the radio, then in theaters. She had this 4-octave range, which is a big deal if you know anything about music. It meant she could hit notes most singers couldn't even dream of. And she made it look easy, like it was just part of who she was. By the time she hit her 20s, Julie was a star. Did her unstoppable rise come with a hidden cost? Stay tuned to find out. She played Eliza Doolittle, the flower girl with a voice that could melt hearts. The crowds loved her, and the critics couldn't get enough. Then Hollywood noticed, and before long, she was Mary Poppins, floating down with that umbrella and winning an Oscar in 1964. A year later, The Sound of Music turned her into a legend. She was Maria, twirling in the Alps, singing about her favorite things, and the world fell in love. It wasn't just her voice, it was her warmth, her grace, the way she made you feel like everything was going to be okay. For a long time, it seemed like Julie Andrews could do anything. She was untouchable, a star who shone brighter with every role. But even the brightest stars have shadows. Julie's life wasn't all perfect moments and happy endings. She had her share of hard times, divorce, raising kids in the spotlight, and the pressure of being everyone's idea of perfection. Still, she kept going, kept singing, kept smiling. That voice of hers was her shield, her strength. It carried her through the tough days and made her who she was. People didn't just hear Julie Andrews. They felt her. And for decades, that's how it stayed. She was the woman who could sing anything, who could turn a simple tune into something unforgettable. Then came 1997, and everything changed. What went wrong in that one moment that could have silenced a legend? Julie was 62, still working, still singing. She'd been on Broadway again, starring in Victor, Victoria, a show she had made her own. Her voice wasn't as young as it used to be, but it was still hers. Still beautiful, still powerful. And she started having trouble. Her throat felt off, and the notes didn't come as easily. She went to a doctor, and they found nodules on her vocal cords. It wasn't a big deal, they said. A simple surgery would fix it. Julie trusted them. She went in, thinking she'd be back on stage soon, singing like always. But when she woke up, something was wrong. Her voice wasn't the same. It was weaker, raspier, like a shadow of what it had been. The surgery had gone wrong. Those nodules were gone, but so was the range, the clarity, the magic. The voice that had carried her for over 50 years was slipping away. Imagine that for a second. Your whole life, you've been known for one thing, one beautiful, incredible thing. It's not just your job, it's who you are. And then, in one moment, it's taken from you. Julie didn't talk much about it at first. She tried to stay strong, to keep going. But inside, it hurt. She couldn't sing like she used to. The high notes were gone. The power was gone. She could still speak, sure, but speaking isn't singing. For someone like Julie, that's a different kind of silence, a quiet that cuts deep. She sued the doctors, and the case dragged on. Eventually, she settled. But money doesn't bring back what's lost. She'd spent her life giving the world her voice, and now, at 62, she had to face a future without it. The years after that weren't easy. Julie didn't disappear. She was too strong for that. But she had to figure out who she was without the thing that defined her. She turned to other things, like writing children's books with her daughter Emma. They wrote stories together, sweet little tales that carried a bit of that old magic. She did some voice acting, too ironic, maybe, but it worked. She was Queen Lillian in Shrek, and then came The Princess Diaries, where she played the regal grandmother with that familiar twinkle. People still loved her, still wanted her around. But every time she spoke, you could hear the roughness, the strain.
Young version of yourself.
I suddenly realized how hard I had worked. Your life goes by and you're so busy in the moment, and then looking back on it, you think, my God.
It wasn't the Julie Andrews we'd grown up with. And for her fans, that was hard to take. The rumors have been there for years, whispers about her health, her voice, her heart. People wondered if she was bitter, or if she blamed the doctor, her fate, or herself. They wondered how she felt about losing the gift that made her a star. And for a long time, Julie stayed quiet about it. She'd give hints, little pieces of the story, but never the whole thing. Maybe she wasn't ready. Maybe she didn't want us to worry. But now she's confirming what we all suspected. The loss of her voice wasn't just a career blow, it was personal, deep, and lasting. In a recent interview, she said it plain and simple. It's the one thing I'll never get over. There it was, out in the open, no fancy words, no dodging the truth. Just Julie, at 89, telling us what we'd guessed all along, that losing her voice broke something inside her that time can't fix. The life. She built beyond the notes. Julie Andrews didn't vanish when the music faded. That's the first thing you notice when you look at her life after everything has changed. The world still wanted her, and she still had something to give, not with a song, but with a presence that felt just as strong. At 89, she's not the young woman twirling in the hills anymore, but she's not sitting still either. Life handed her a hard twist, and instead of letting it pull her under, she found a way to keep going. It's not about what she lost now. It's about what she's held on to, what she's made, and how she's shaped the years that came after. This is Julie Andrews at her core, a woman who doesn't give up, even when the stage lights dim. After the surgery that changed everything, Julie had to rethink who she was. She'd spent decades being the voice, the one who could fill a theater or a film with sound that wrapped around you like a warm blanket. Now, she could be that no more, but she didn't beat herself and retreat into some quiet corner and let the world forget her. Instead, she turned to something new. Stories. Not the kind you sing, but the kind you write. She'd always loved words after all. She'd brought so many lyrics to life. And many began to ask, could her next chapter outshine her singing days? Watch on to find out. Julie started working with her daughter, Emma Walton Hamilton, on children's books. They sat together, dreaming up tales about brave kids and talking animals, and turned them into books that families could share. It wasn't Broadway or Hollywood, but it was a way to keep creating, to keep reaching people. Julie Andrews didn't fade when her singing ended. In 2003, she and her daughter Emma wrote The Very Fairy Princess, a sweet tale of Geraldine, a girl certain she's a princess despite others' doubts. Julie's magic glows in it. They've since penned dozens of books, their bond deepening through shared ideas and laughter. For Julie, it was a lifeline, linking her to the world and herself with words, not notes. Then came the screen again. She is now speaking, not singing. In 2001, she was Queen Clarice in The Princess Diaries, her elegance shaping a teen into royalty. She returned for the sequel, and fans adored it. She also voiced Queen Lillian in Shrek 2, blending humor and heart. These weren't starring roles, but Julie made them hers. She handled it with grace. Loss could have bred bitterness, but she wouldn't let it. She missed the stage's rush yet moved on, her gentle smile showing she meant it. Family steadied her 5 kids from 2 marriages, including stepkids with Tony Walton and a life with Blake Edwards, who died in 2010. They adopted Amy and Joanna in the 70s, choosing love over glamour. Julie was a rock for them, especially when Blake fell ill. After his passing, her kids and grandkids kept her warm. She beams talking about them, their noise, and a new kind of music. At 89, she's home with those who don't mind her missing high notes. She's stayed visible too. In 2022, the AFI Gala honored her lifetime work, and the crowd rose not from pity, but respect. She thanked them, focusing on blessings, not limits. She's narrated by Bridgerton, her voice still rich. At 89, she reflects on a life of highs and lows, confirming the fairy tale was only part of it. She's proud of her films, books, and persistence. "I've had a good run," she said recently, eyes crinkling. "It's simple, true, and enough. The quiet strength of a legend." At 89, Julie Andrews doesn't move through the world the way she once did. The energy that carried her across stages and screens has softened, replaced by a stillness that feels earned. She's not chasing the spotlight anymore. It finds her anyway, drawn to the woman she's become. These days, her life is quieter, slower, but it's no less full. She spent decades being the voice of joy, the face of grace, and now, as the years pile up, she's showing us something new. What it means to age with dignity, to carry a lifetime of triumphs and scars without letting them weigh you down. This isn't about the past or the roles she played. It's about the Julie Andrews we see today, the one who's finally letting us in on the strength that's kept her standing. Time has a way of changing people, and Julie's no exception. Her body isn't what it used to be. She walks with a cane sometimes, her steps careful and deliberate. Her hands, once so steady as they held a tune or a script, tremble a little now. It's not a secret she's open about it. Aging isn't something she hides or fights against. She said she feels the years in her bones, in the way she tires faster than she'd like. But there's no bitterness in her voice when she talks about it, no sense of defeat. Instead, there's a calm acceptance, a kind of peace that comes from knowing she's lived a lot and lived it well. It's not Julie who danced through meadows, but it's still Julie, older, wiser, and somehow even more real. She spends most of her time at home now, in a house that's seen its share of life. It's a place filled with memories, pictures of her kids and grandkids on the walls, books she's written stacked on shelves, little pieces of a long career tucked into corners. She's not one for fuss or fanfare anymore. She likes the quiet, the chance to sit with a cup of tea and watch the world go by. Friends drop in, family's always close, and there's a warmth there that doesn't need a stage to shine. She's not lonely, far from it. She's surrounded by people who love her for who she is, not what she was. What's remarkable is how she thinks about fame these days. Julie Andrews was a star before most of us were born, a name that meant something big. She lived in that world, the red carpets, the applause, the constant hum of attention. But she never let it own her. Looking back, she sees it for what it was, a wild, wonderful ride that gave her everything and asked a lot in return. She's not dazzled by it anymore. She talks about how strange it feels sometimes, knowing millions of people grew up with her voice in their heads, her face on their screens. She's confirmed what we suspected. Fame was never the point for her. What drove her then, if not the spotlight? It was the work, the chance to make something beautiful that kept her going. That's not to say it was easy. Being Julie Andrews came with pressure to be perfect, to stay the sweet, smiling woman everyone wanted her to be. She felt it, even if the internet didn't show it. There were days she wanted to step away, to just be a regular person without the world watching. But she didn't. She kept showing up, kept giving, because that's who she is. Now, at 89, she's free of that weight. She doesn't have to prove anything anymore. She can just be Julie, the woman who loves her garden, who laughs at her grandkids' silly jokes, who doesn't mind if the spotlight's on someone else. It's a relief, she's hinted, to let go of that old expectation and live for herself. At 89, she's not just a legend. She's a reminder that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, steady and true, through every step of the journey. Do you think Julie Andrews is happy or just feigning joy? What do you think of her speaking up now after years? We would love you to share your opinion in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.